Do you, Vitor, think that you personally could make a better hamburger than McDonald's?
I was never asked this question. I have to be I have to be honest. Well, first of all, and just for the people out there, we haven't spoken. This is the first time, so a lot of things you know about me. I'm terrible in the kitchen. Okay,
Right,
just
I know.
just to start with.
Regardless of that, do
Yeah,
you
I'm
think
very bad in the
you
kitchen. I
could?
hate, and it's not that I'm just not skilled. I hate spending time in the kitchen. Like
Right, but
all
could
the
you
things
make a
that
better hamburger?
than McDonald's. Probably
Yes.
not. And it's not about McDonald's. It's about me because I'm pretty bad at doing things that I don't like to do. So
Mhm.
based on that, I would say that McDonald's would serve you a better burger than me because
That's fair.
I'm
But
just not the
okay,
one.
let me put another guardrail just to make
Yeah.
sure we're talking the same language. Let's say you just had to make one, right? Even if it took you some research and some experimenting and whatever, do you think that ultimately, if you really tried just making it this one time, you could make a better tasting hamburger than McDonald's?
I could, but it's not about McDonald's. It's
Right.
it's it's about me. It's about
Right.
me.
You could. You really don't want to, but you could, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
I,
let's
I
say
think I think most people could.
yeah, yeah.
But here's the thing: could you develop a system that sells as many hamburgers as McDonald's?
And I would say, on that note, I'm going back to my poor kitchen skills. That's a tougher job because they have created that not overnight, but they have that in place for I don't know, uh, plenty like 2 3 decades. So even if
Mhm.
I started now, yeah, and I have some understanding of sales, promotion, and all that, I wouldn't dare to compete with McDonald's. Like so, even my poor kitchen skills will make me in a more favorable position to come up with a better burger than
Right.
McDonald's, than competing with that system. And that's
And
really that's really telling that their selling system it's flawless.
yeah, and the reason why I mentioned that is for the event that somebody here is seeing this, considering either starting a business or started a business a while ago or something like that. I find that most entrepreneurs get stuck on the product. Oh, I'm
Yep.
going to have the best product or the best service or the best this or the best that. And then it doesn't work because it's not about the product. Of course, you should have a good product, as good as you can make it, right? As long as that doesn't absurdly increase costs either for you or for the client. But there's a balance there in between. But it's not about the product, it's about the systems.
Yeah.
Like, how well can you make it? How well can you distribute it? Do people even know you exist? Because if
Mhm.
people don't know you exist, you can have the best anything in the world that it doesn't matter. And especially after I've taken several sales trainings, I really do believe that sales is one of the best and most important skills in the world because you use it for everything. Like, I'm right now trying to sell you and your audience on the idea that you should learn sales. And sales
Okay.
to me is communication. It's not
Mhm.
forcing people to do some things against their will. That's manipulation.
Yeah.
So even Grant Cardone says that if being a good salesman means you can sell ice to an Eskimo, I'm not a good salesman because I would never do that. Because they don't need the ice. They
Yeah.
live surrounded by ice, right?
And what
Like,
we're just saying, Victor, is applicable to other fields. I'm now diverting this, let's say, to creativity. Let's say you are very good at writing, okay,
mhm,
but you don't have the routine. Like you can be quite talented, you can be the inspired type, but if you don't have the schedule and the availability, it's irrelevant because you never put those words into writing. Like, okay, you can be gifted, and from time to time, you come up with, I don't know, a novel or a poetry collection or a play. I don't care. But you can do way better if you have that system in place. And
yep,
it's all that is about. I also got to understand that it's all about building the, if- let's say, the life. Yeah, the life that allows you to create or generate whatever you are doing or building a business. It's about having that system in place. And that's the most important thing. Without that, there will be no product, there will be nothing. You'll be sterile.
Yep. For example, you know Vincent van Gogh,
Yeah.
the guy who did Starry Night. Did you know that he only sold one painting his whole life?
Yes.
Maybe one of the best painters in the world, but because he didn't know how to sell, he lived in misery. He died in misery, actually.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
only when his friends started selling his work that the word got out, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, the telephone, like Thomas Edison, nobody wanted it. Many didn't even believe it. He had to actually supply electricity for free for a long time until people even started using the telephone. And now look, everybody has one in their pockets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The trains, like when trains were first developed, nobody wanted to ride a train because they thought if you were faster than 30 miles per hour, your heart would stop,
Yeah.
right? So sales is essential for development and for everything.
100%.
So
100%. Yeah.
again, people focus a lot on like going back to that YouTubers group. Everybody's like, oh, why don't I have views? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Um, sales is the most important, and I think that's why many people focus so on SEO and whatever. But that's not the whole picture. Like everything is already way too saturated. So you need not only to get out there and promote, thumbnails and titles. Those are very important because that's the most direct way you have to sell your videos and content. But then also the viewer must be sold on what they're seeing. It's not just getting them to click, it's continuously getting them sold so that they want to continue watching and they want to see more and they want to see again. And even better if then they start sharing it with other people,
Yeah.
because then they're really sold. That means that you provided so much value to that person that they want to go out of their way and spread that because they got value in excess to what they felt like they deserved.
Yeah. Yeah. And they start working for you. Like they are not your staff. You are not paying them in, let's say, on a monetary level, but because you provided them with value, they are willing to give you back the favor. And we all do that in our life. Like if someone,
And they're happy to do it.
yes,
We all do that,
yeah,
right? Like sometimes you go like to a really, really good restaurant with really nice prices. You go tell all your friends about it.
yeah,
When is the other time, besides an exceptional service, that you tell everyone about some business?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
When they're
100%.
terrible,
Yes,
never go there again.
yeah. The word of mouth is powerful. It's
Yes,
still a thing, but it's especially if it comes from someone you trust or
exactly.
they have similar values or um, interests. You say, this
Yep.
restaurant is for my friend, then it's for me. Or if it's not for him, I won't go there. I will go next door. So
Yes.
it's like that's why you should be very careful about what kind of experience you provide to people because it's not only them, it's their
Mhm.
environment, it's their inner circle, it's their family and relatives, and their social media. That's another thing that these days it's vital. Whatever you do,
Yes.
the whole world can know.
Yep, exactly. And that is one of the reasons also why I love working with referrals and also sending referrals for real estate so much. Because when, if you try to reach out to people, of course they're going to be defensive. Everybody wants to try to get you to buy their snake oil or whatever it is every so often, right? But if you get a referral, if somebody says, hey, talk to this guy, he has what you need, then they are so much easier to trust you. Like I've had, people who, I don't know, saw my video on YouTube or something like that, for example, right? Because I did an interview with one of our first clients. They would see my video, book a meeting and whatever, and then I would explain, I would show our contract and our agreements and all of that. They would be like, I have to think about it, which is code for I'm not going to move forward, but I want to be polite, so I won't tell you no directly. Um, But then when you have a referral, sometimes you're like, hey, so I'm just going to explain my agreement. This is how it works. This is how much you pay me. Okay, we'll sign it. We didn't even read it. Okay, we can read it if you want. Right? So they just are much more likely to trust you right off the bat. And it makes sense too, because we build communities, we trust the communities. And if somebody already pre-vetted you, then that is a good sign. And I also love, like, when I'm doing business, like relationships and connections, like with builders or other agents or stuff like that, or lawyers. I like, you know, on this specific industry, on this region, I like picking one person that I know and trust, and I work with them. The only situation where I would work with someone else is usually if that person stopped working or if they're unavailable or something like that. Then I may go to plan B. But I prefer focusing on one person, building that relationship, working in synergy, and helping each other out like that.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, man, when it comes to picking a partner, whether it's a business partner or even an intimacy one. Like, you want reliability, you want to peace of mind, and you can only attain that if you can trust the other. So the skills, yes, they matter. They matter about how talented is the person, how good they are, what they do. But if one day you knock the door and they took a flight to Jamaica, then they are not your partner. That's it. That's it. You better work with someone who is not as gifted or not as not as good on whatever they do, but at least you know they are there. You can count on them, and that's something that you cannot neglect. Like a reliable partner, it's a partner for life.
Yes.